Sketchy Kane on Instagram asked, what's your opinion on gatekeepers within the tattoo industry? All right, so gatekeepers in the tattoo industry. First, let me explain what a gatekeeper might mean to somebody. A gatekeeper is someone who is a veteran in a certain industry that may not respect the way you got to where you're at in the industry. They don't feel like you've done the type of work that they had to do to get there. So they don't let you within the inner circle of what the bigger picture of the tattoo industry would be. There's like an inner circle. There's like this big group of tattoo artists that all know each other, that all respect each other, that all have a personal relationship with each other, and you could actually be blocked out from that inner circle because the older cats don't necessarily respect the way you came up, right? That's classically what it would be, right? So I'd say in this generation, after a couple generations have passed since the old school artists and stuff, I feel like the gatekeepers are less and less effective in gatekeeping because these new generations have their own groups. They have their own inner circles. Like there's multiple inner circles to the tattoo industry now. It's not just like one group and you get in good with that group, otherwise you're not a part of the industry. I don't feel like it's like that anymore. I feel like with Instagram, social media, and different types of styles arriving, it's like everyone has their own circle and then they all intertwine into other circles. It's almost like high school when you got groups and stuff, but really everyone has a common ground. Like they all tattoo, so they end up all getting along. So I like it better the way it is now because it's all very intertwined. Everyone respects each other because we all do the same thing. And if you really put in the work and you're a respectful person, you're always going to be let into the circle of the tattoo industry, right? Especially if you go to conventions often and you meet those type of people. You do have to show respect to the older cats though, because you have to understand where they came from. You have to understand that they didn't have it as easy as you had it. The way it has been nowadays with tattooing, anybody can get into tattooing and buy the best equipment and just get right to it and start tattooing their friends. That's not how it used to be, guys. Like with coil machines back in the day, you would have to have someone teach you how to use a coil machine or how to tune it. You can't just pick up a machine and use it. You can't just pick up a coil machine and use it. There's a whole system on how to make it run good enough to do a tattoo. You got to imagine back then, before there were stencil printers, before there was iPads, before there was just shit readily available at your fingertips. That is not always how it's been. And they had a hard, rough time getting to where they're at. There's a lot of kids that start tattooing and 1 year in, they're better than all of the OGs. But that's not the metric that you're measuring them by. You're measuring them by the experience they have in a time when tattooing was not as easy to get into. So that's what you have to respect. You have to respect that they didn't have it as good as you and they still made it to be respected in the industry. So you come in and you're like, well, I'm better than all of them. I should get more respect than them. That's not the metric, okay? You have to see it from a more human perspective. Because even me, I feel that way too sometimes in a sense, because I come up from a generation before Gen Z, and I felt what it was like to have the kind of the old school tattoo experience with the old school apprenticeship, with the coil machines, learning how to do everything by hand. You're drawing on paper and then hand doing your stencil, and if you had to redo the stencil, you would have to redo it by hand again. Like a bunch of little things that you don't even think about now. I felt that. And now the generation after me has it even easier than I had it, right? So I feel that feeling, but as long as everyone is respectful of each other and they respect each other's careers and the hardships how hard it is to get to the top level of tattooing, it doesn't matter what path it is. It's like getting to the top of tattooing is extremely hard, and just respect people for that human experience that they had to get to the top of their industry, right? It's just respect, man. Just have respect for your peers. Know that they go through the same shit as you, and some of them had it harder than you. That's all it is. So gatekeepers got a lot less pull nowadays, but the whole respect thing is still very prevalent in the industry.